The Sudrian Chronicles, Book 2, Thomas the Tank Engine. Dear Clara, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of the station yard and see the island. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you enjoy them because you helped me make them. Sincerely, your best friend. Story 1, Thomas and Gordon. Originally written by Wilbur Audrey. Thomas is a tank engine. He lives at the big station. He has 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. He is a fussy little tank engine. He shunts coaches and trucks for the bigger engines. He pushes the coaches to the platform for the bigger engines to take away on long journeys. When trains come in and the people get out, he takes the empty coaches away so that the big engines can go and rest. He is a cheeky little engine too. He thought no other engine worked harder and was more important than him. He plays tricks on engines who think highly of themselves. He liked, best of all, to tease the main express engine of the railway, Gordon. One evening, Gordon returned to Vickerstown after a long run with the express. He went to doze on his favorite siding. It was just in the right spot between the station and yard, to be warm in the morning and cool in the evening. The sleepy sun glistened on his marvelous blue paint. He shut his eyes dreamily, thinking about how grand he was. He couldn't have known a cheeky tank engine who was right next to him. Beep 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 beep! Bruh! Ha ha! Wake up, lazy bones! Why don't you do some hard work like me? And Thomas trotted away to put the coaches in the shed. Oh, you get back here this instant! Shouted Gordon. Try to catch me? Laughed Thomas, steaming away. Gordon leapt into steam as his driver and fireman stumbled in his cab. He neared the points to leave his yard as Henry with a good string darted out from behind the station wall, blocking his way. Damn you, Thomas. Once I get my buffers on you. Yes, I'll do it later. The clock struck the hour. Gordon sat at the platform. He was waiting for his coaches. Thomas had not arrived yet. Poop, poop, hurry up, he whistled. Go on, Gordon, cried his driver Marshall. You can get the coaches by yourself. I shan't. Tender engines don't shunt. You really are as lazy as Thomas says. Meanwhile, Thomas was asleep in the sheds. Thomas, you need to wake up, said Edward, blowing steam on the tank engine's wheels. 5 more minutes. Thomas, you need to get up now. The express will be late if you don't. Gordon can get his own train. You think Gordon is really going to do that? Or do you think he's going to hunt you down and berate you until you fetch the train? Fine. And he meekly left the sheds. He yawned his way into the yards. Fulcrum sat in a siding, looking down his long nose. Where the bloody hell have you been? Taking a nap. Taking a nap? I've been waiting here for 30 minutes. Give me my train. You can wait another 30 minutes. The express is first. If it's really that important, then you can fetch it yourself. Pah! I shan't. We tender engines don't shunt. That's what you tank engines do. You're just shit-covered peasants. Shit-covered peasants, huh? What does that make you, then? King Henry VIII? And he wished steam vigorously at the arrogant engine. His driver, Robert Ball Pinshire, and fireman, Wade Harrington, drew into position for whatever was to happen next. Oh, why, you! And Fulcrum lurched forward and began to chase down Thomas. Thomas laughed as he leapt over a set of points, dodging Fulcrum's attack. He swayed dangerously, just missing Fulcrum as the big engine rode over the points set against him. With a click and a clank, he clubbed over the points and derailed his front bogie. Oh, get back here! Get me a breakdown train! He cried as Thomas laughed and clattered over to the carriage shed. What's a breakdown train? He asked himself as he backed down onto the express and pulled the long line of coaches out into the yards. Thomas would uncouple from the train and then run to the back bunker to the coach. He had uncoupled and ran halfway down when out of nowhere came an engine onto his line. Bob threw on Thomas's brakes and came to a sharp halt. He stared at the black engine. The smell of burning wood followed suit. Thomas ignored it. She looked straight back at him. She was painted in a very sooty black that looked like it wasn't cleaned well. She looked stumpy with a 6-wheel configuration and a running board that stopped very shortly after the smoke box. And where are my trucks? She asked. Your trucks? I don't know where your trucks are, or even who you are. Now excuse me, doll, and let me get Gordon's coaches before he throws me into the sea. The engine scowled at him. I'm Jules. Good for you. I don't really care. Now, if you don't mind, I need to shunt the express. The engine still didn't move. But my coaches. I thought you had to pull trucks. Well, yes, so go get me them. Oh, come off it. I told you, I need to get Gordon's coaches before I fetch your train. So you will? Maybe, if you don't move, bitch. How dare you? How dare me? How dare yourself, you fucking... The engines blew steam harshly at each other, as if having an argument of some kind. The workmen around them, although confused, stared at the iron horses. Beep, 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 blared Maithwaite. Oi, calm your engine, barked the workman. We're going deaf. I can't. The rope is stuck, yelled Bob. Same to you, cried another workman. There, in front of Maithwaite, was a medium-sized tender engine, one of many from the LNYR. The damn mule's stuck as well, cried the driver. The engine seemed to be in argument almost, like they were almost talking to each other. But that was silly. Engines talk to each other. Who would think of such a thing? They were just machines after all. Go move your fat tender elsewhere, you bloody git! Jules stared deeply into Thomas, almost penetrating him. She released a large cloud of steam cockily and begrudgingly rolled off the points. Thomas, with the line being clear, clanked over them and ran to the back of the coaches. Back at the station, Gordon waited at the platform. He let out a low hiss of trickling steam as his driver and fireman, Marshall and Dave, checked him over. A little chuffing came up behind him, and with a peep peep a peep, the coaches bashed into his buffers. Gordon groaned. Engines don't peep peep a peep in stations, little Thomas. What's wrong with peep peep a peep? I think it's rather fun. Well, it's not how us mainline engines do it. Oh, yes, sorry. You lot go poop poop a poop. Oh, shut up. You shut up. No, you. No, you. 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 The two kept shouting and shouting. The station staff soon had to shush the engines from cursing in front of the passengers. It became so much that the coupler had forgot to uncouple Thomas to Gordon. His plan had worked. Poop, poop, getting quickly, please, he announced to the passengers who were still dawdling on the platform, saying their goodbyes to friends, or simply listening to the argument that had just ensued. There was a clambering from the passengers as they huddled into the coaches, looking for compartments. The guard waved his green flag, and Gordon jolted forward. Gordon! Gordon! Will you stop? I'm still coupled! But Gordon wasn't listening. Or he acted like he wasn't, at least. The porter, who was talking to the fat director, heard Thomas yelling. The two looked on to see Thomas being frantically dragged out of the station. The porter ran after Thomas as the fat director yelled at Gordon, but it was no use. The two sped out of the station onto the open main line. The train was going nicely, although for Thomas it was too fast. He bounced horrendously when he was going 50, so he nearly flew off the rails at 90. Bob and Wade held on for dear life, trying not to be tossed out of the cab. Hurry, hurry, hurry! Faster, faster, faster! You can't get away! You can't get away! You can't get away! Chanted the coaches. Thomas wanted to stop, but he simply couldn't. They sped through stations. Station masters had been called ahead about Thomas being strapped on, but Gordon ignored them. What are all they saying? Asked Marshall. Oh, they're just praising me, of course. Holy hell, Gordon, stop! 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 But there was no stopping. His wheels felt like they would spin right off. He was out of breath, and there was a sharp pain in his boiler. It was a miracle that his side rods hadn't flown right off. He would never be the same engine again. The guard sipped his tea, listening to the sounds of the passengers conversating and his radio in the corner. There seemed to be an argument of some kind. Lots of curses were being screamed. He ignored them and looked out the window behind him. Upon to see Thomas being strapped on. He spat his tea all over the window, then wiped it away for a double take. He scrambled his way to the front to warn Marshall and Dave. Well, we can't stop now, said Marshall. We can drop him off at the junction, replied Dave. And that's what they did. They clambered down Gordon's sail, going speeds too fast for Thomas. "You big moron! Stop! I'm back here! I'm back here!" gasped Thomas as he was slammed into the back of the coaches. He had no steam left, and thankfully, they were going slower. The pain in his boiler slowly decreased as the pace finally matched his own. They had come to a resting spot at Wellsworth. Thomas, when he was finally uncoupled, furiously steamed up beside Gordon.
"Oh my, Thomas, what were you doing back there?"
"What was I doing back there? My ass!" burst out Thomas with more steam than he could muster.
"What do you mean, my dear boy?"
"Shut up, Gordon. Just shut up. Holy hell, you are the biggest piece of shit I've ever met." Gordon gasped. Rather fraudulently, of course. Thomas blasted him with warm steam and angrily stormed away to the water column. He had a nice long drink, but couldn't help to hear Gordon say,
"I suppose someone knows what hard work really means now, doesn't he?"
Yeah, hard work, being strapped onto a high-speed train." He went home shortly after, very slowly. He had enough of big engines for one day.